They told me my daughter was just the interpreter's kid, nothing more. A billionaire smirked across that boardroom table, certain an 8-year-old girl couldn't possibly understand what his lawyers were whispering in Mandarin. He was wrong, dead wrong. What she translated in the next 60 seconds didn't just win us the contract. It tore open a betrayal that had been hiding in my own company for 2 years. I'm a former Navy SEAL. I faced gunfire without blinking. But nothing prepared me for watching my little girl's face change as she realized what she was really hearing. My name is Mark Delgado, and I spent 11 years as a Navy SEAL before a roadside explosion in Kandahar took my left leg below the knee and, 3 months later, took my wife too. Car accident, a drunk driver, 6 days after I came home in a wheelchair. That was 4 years ago. Since then, it's been just me and Lily, my daughter, who was 4 when her mother died and is 8 now, sharper than any kid has a right to be. People ask how a disabled vet with a prosthetic leg and a dead wife builds a translation and logistics company from a garage. I don't have a clean answer. I just know that grief either buries you or it teaches you to work with a fury you didn't know you had. I taught myself Mandarin during physical therapy, of all things, because a nurse who'd grown up in Taiwan used to talk to her mother on the phone every night, and I got tired of not understanding the language filling the room. One language became 3. 3 became a business, Delgado Global Logistics, small at first, contracts with shipping companies who needed someone who could read a manifest in Mandarin, Korean, and Arabic without paying 3 separate agencies. Lily grew up around it. She'd sit under my desk with crayons while I took calls at midnight with suppliers in Shenzhen. By the time she was 6, she could count to 100 in Mandarin before she could tie her shoes. I never pushed her. She just absorbed it the way kids absorb everything when nobody's watching too closely. The contract that changed everything came from a man named Julian Voss. If you've read Forbes, you know the name. Shipping, real estate, a stake in half the ports on the West Coast. His company wanted to bring my logistics firm in as a subcontractor on a massive deal with a manufacturing group out of Shanghai, worth more to me than every contract I'd signed in the past 3 years combined. It would mean hiring 20 more people. It would mean I could finally stop doing Lily's math homework at 1 a.m. after finishing invoices. The meeting was in Voss's downtown office. Glass walls 40 floors up, the kind of place where the coffee costs more than my monthly water bill. I brought Lily because her school had a teacher in service day, and my babysitter canceled, and honestly, I didn't think it would matter. I figured she'd sit in the corner with her tablet, while men in expensive suits talked numbers. Voss walked in 11 minutes late, didn't apologize, and looked at me like I was something his assistant had tracked in on her shoe. Then he saw Lily. "Bring your kid to a business meeting?" he said, not really asking. "She's quiet. She won't be a problem." He smiled the way rich men smile when they've already decided to make you feel small. "Goo, maybe she can translate for us. Save me the interpreter's fee." A couple of his lawyers laughed. I didn't. We got into the deal terms. Voss had 2 of his own people in the room. His COO, a woman named Rachel Kim, and a Shanghai-based partner joining by video, a man introduced only as Director Han. Midway through, Han said something needed clarifying and switched into Mandarin with Rachel Kim, assuming, the way people always assume, that a disabled American vet and his 8-year-old wouldn't understand a word of it. I understood most of it. I caught something about numbers, about a second contract, about the American not needing to know the full structure yet. My Mandarin is good, but fast, technical speech from 2 native speakers talking over each other tests it. I kept my face still and kept listening. Then Lily, who had been quietly coloring a horse in her notebook, looked up. "Dad," she said, in English loud enough for the room, "that lady just said we're only getting paid for half the shipments. She said the other half goes through a different company, so you don't find out." The room went dead silent. Voss's smile finally cracked. "Excuse me," Rachel Kim said, too fast, too sharp. Lily didn't flinch. She's her mother's daughter that way. My wife never flinched either. The man on the screen said, "Don't let the American see the second contract." And the lady said his daughter's just a kid. She's not listening. Lily looked right at Rachel Kim. I was listening. I've been in firefights that made my hands shake less than that moment did. Not from fear. from the sudden, sickening drop of understanding what was actually happening, that this wasn't just a negotiation, it was a setup. They were planning to route half our contracted shipments through a shell company, pay us for the visible half, and quietly cut Delgado Global out of profit we'd already earned, banking on the fact that a single dad juggling a business and a kid wouldn't have the time or the lawyers to catch it until it was too late. Voss recovered fast, the way men who've spent decades getting away with things always do. She's a child. She misheard something technical. She's fluent, I said. My voice came out flatter and colder than I meant it to, the same voice I used to give orders in years ago in places I don't talk about. She's been fluent since she was 6, and I understood enough of it myself to know she's not wrong. Rachel Kim's face had gone the color of paper. Director Han, on the screen, had gone quiet in the specific way people go quiet when they realize they've been caught on a recording they didn't know existed. Except there was no recording. There was just an 8-year-old girl with a red crayon and better ears than any of them had accounted for. I want to tell you I stayed calm and professional, that I coolly demanded to see the second contract and handled it like the businessman I'd become. Some of that's true. But first, for about 4 seconds, I just looked at Lily, and she looked back at me with this expression, half proud, half scared she'd done something wrong. And I had to swallow hard before I could even speak because my daughter, my baby who I'd watched learn to walk again herself after losing her mom, had just protected our family with nothing but a language she taught herself out of love, not strategy. There's a channel I'd stumbled across a few months earlier, late one night scrolling instead of sleeping, called Hero Dad Stories, videos about single fathers raising kids after loss. And I remember thinking, watching one at 2 a.m. with Lily asleep on my chest, that I wasn't sure I'd ever have a story worth telling. I didn't think it would be this one. I asked to see the second contract. Voss tried to stonewall me for maybe 90 seconds before his own general counsel, sitting quietly at the end of the table, said, low enough that I almost missed it, just show him, Julian. Turned out counsel hadn't known the full scope either. Turned out a lot of people in that room had been kept in the dark, layer by layer, the way betrayal usually works, not one big lie, but 100 small omissions stacked until nobody could see the whole shape of it. We didn't sign that day. My lawyer and I spent the next 3 weeks tearing the real contract apart, and when we finally did sign, it was a different deal entirely. Full transparency clauses, a direct line to Voss himself instead of Rachel Kim, who was gone from the company within the month, and a rate that reflected what our work was actually worth instead of what they thought a struggling vet would settle for. Lily still colors horses. She still counts under her breath in 3 languages when she's nervous, a habit she doesn't even notice anymore. But something shifted in her after that day, some quiet certainty that the thing she carries in her head, the words, the sounds, the years of sitting under my desk absorbing a language nobody thought she needed, that all of it matters, that she matters exactly as she is, unfinished homework and crayon horses and all. People ask me sometimes if I regret bringing her to that meeting. I tell them the truth. I brought a distraction and left with a partner. She didn't just save a contract that day. She reminded me that the people we underestimate, kids, single parents, the guy with the prosthetic leg nobody expects to still be standing, we're usually the ones paying the closest attention because we've learned the hard way that nobody's going to protect us if we don't listen for ourselves. Voss lost more than money in that boardroom. He lost a chance to know what real strength looks like, sitting quietly in the corner with a red crayon, listening.